My name is Sher Baig. I'm the founder and CEO of Cyber Salus. We're a global medtech cybersecurity company with providing wing-to-wing solutions and services for health systems and hospitals across the globe, dealing with medical device, IoT, cybersecurity, and basically making sure that we take care of the entire clinical ecosystem from a threat risk perspective. Actually, that's a great question. Healthcare is now the most targeted industry out of all of them. It used to be the financial industry, now it's healthcare. And a big reason for that is also that over the last several years, medical devices have become connected devices. And within a hospital, medical equipment is managed by biomeds or clinical engineers, folks that don't necessarily deal with cybersecurity, or departments like radiology, pathology, lab, pharma, etc. The IT teams within a hospital are normally managing, IT systems or employee laptops, servers, etc. But if there's an issue on a security issue or vulnerability on an ultrasound device, IT teams normally don't know what to do with that, and they say, hey, go talk to the biomed team. When you go talk to the biomed team, they said, well, we don't deal with cybersecurity. Isn't that an IT issue? So there's a big gap here in the healthcare space when it comes to the protection of these very sensitive devices, which ultimately impact patient safety and patient care. And unfortunately, bad actors have realized this and are exploiting that. And so the lack of, I should say, perhaps skill set within a health system is from a cybersecurity perspective is really tough as well, because a lot of people sometimes convolute IT and cybersecurity together. Cybersecurity is a very unique, specialized discipline, and there's a global shortage of cybersecurity talent. And to try and hire, retain, and constantly train cyber talent within a hospital or health system is very difficult to do. And that is why there is just an infiltration of threats and risk and vulnerabilities in the healthcare space. And there's a lot of challenges that health systems are facing due to this. And bad actors are continuing to exploit that. A lot of times IT companies or technology providers, they want to obviously cater to the healthcare market, the healthcare industry. It's a massive space, and it's a very, it's a growing space from a tech perspective. And so they want to be able to help in that space and provide solutions. But the reason why it's very difficult for a lot of tech companies, IT companies, or IT products is because you can't necessarily apply IT strategies when it comes to the clinical ecosystem within a hospital. A medical device is not built like, a laptop or a phone or other IT equipment. Medical equipment was kind of never, meant to be networked to begin with. And so because of the sensitivities and nuances that go with medical devices, clinical pathways, clinical software, a lot of IT companies find it very difficult to be able to truly solve for the risk when it comes to cybersecurity for hospitals in that space. Because of that purpose, you can't do active scanning or brute force scanning on medical equipment. It can knock the device out and cause it to reboot. Obviously, in a healthcare or a hospital setting, devices are in use by patients. You can't just do that, or you can knock them out of warranty as well. So there's a plethora of other reasons, but essentially, if you just look at the variety of the types of devices that are within a hospital system and the age from a software perspective, or how old they are, what kind of software they're running, etc. Those are all variances that are very difficult to solve with like a silver bullet, which sometimes IT can very easily do within an IT environment. And that's why there's lots of challenges for just the general IT tool or IT solutions to apply similar strategies and solve for risk on the clinical ecosystem side. Yeah, bad actors are getting sophisticated more and more, each day. I mean, if you just think about it, every week there is some sort of a attack or some sort of a vulnerability that has exploited, certain devices within hospitals. Every week you're hearing that. In fact, I think the last 5 months have been some of the most action-packed from a negative standpoint with the amount of activity that's happening. But bad actors are exploiting, this lack of, I would say, there's no real proactive monitoring on clinical networks, on medical devices. There isn't, like we talked about earlier, the skill set of folks who understand the nuances of medical equipment, clinical environments, as well as cybersecurity. But there's also the advent of AI, which is great, and everybody's talking about AI, and that's fantastic. But unfortunately, the way things work, when with the good comes the bad, and bad actors are leveraging AI capabilities to really automate and further sophisticate their attack capabilities. And that's why with the lack of resourcing, understanding of the differences on what kind of strategies you can apply within a clinical environment, as well as the sophistication of some of the attackers, the technology they have, the ability to leverage AI, and then there's pretty large threat vectors out there which all contribute to a growing risk for the health systems, and that's what bad actors are leveraging today. I think it's a good start, but a big part of what we do is also work on policy and governance, because you can try and apply a lot of strategies and solutions on certain types of devices or environments, but if you don't have the right policies in place, you will still have kind of that gap, and that's a big problem. So I think some of the new policies coming in, 405D framework, you also have the NIST framework that a lot of folks use. There's a great thing about the having healthcare as part of the critical infrastructure, part of the Biden Act. These are all really good things. You're seeing certain things in Europe as well from a GDPR perspective, or if you look at some of the compliance components with IMDRF, etc. Those are all great things, but unfortunately, a lot of policies are going to be geared towards new devices. So any new device that is built or any new device that is released, it should have a certain level of cyber hygiene or hardening, which is a good thing. It's a must-have. But unfortunately, and the reality is in the healthcare space, your medical device is not like your iPhone. It's not something that, a new version comes out each year and then you switch it. There's no store you can go in and swap it out like that, right? So these devices have a very long shelf life, which ultimately means that a large part of the risk are the legacy devices that are out there across the globe. And majority of the devices in healthcare are legacy devices, and sometimes those policies don't necessarily adhere to those directly, but I will still say it's fantastic what's being done at the government level with the security agencies to kind of come together. But security is really, it's got to be a team sport. So the private public sector has to come together, and we all have to work towards figuring out how to help solve this very growing and serious crisis. I would say certain health systems might not take cybersecurity perhaps seriously, although I think that's changing, and it's changed a lot already. Is maybe sometimes, unfortunately, we tend to see that health systems or health delivery organizations, they face some sort of a breach or an attack, and then they, prioritize it. But in this day and age, to be honest, you have to have a proactive strategy. You can't be reactive, right? We can't kind of put our heads in the sand and hope that something will not happen. And I'll tell you, hope is not a strategy. It's not a matter of kind of if, it's a matter of when, statistically speaking, something like this can happen. So for certain health systems, probably, you know, they're going through maybe some large deployments, budgetary constraints, you know, and some other challenges or lack of resourcing or knowledge, etc., or awareness, that maybe they might not take cybersecurity that seriously. But in my opinion, I think now everyone is taking cybersecurity very seriously. And not just that, but I think we have to think about it like as part of doing business. As part of conducting business, you need to have cyber hygiene, you need to have a good cybersecurity plan. And I think that's going to be more and more as we see, you know, everybody's learning about all these, what's happening to the neighboring health delivery organization which had a breach, or something you saw on the news or you're reading every day. So I think the C-suite at the health systems are getting more savvy about this. They're more concerned about this. Their cyber insurance premiums are going up. So I think everybody is wanting to kind of come together and solve for this. Yes, I believe we do. I think the days of this being a small budget line item that maybe IT came with and requested, but it was one of those optional items, those times have gone, right? They've passed us. We need to be putting a little bit more budget towards cybersecurity overall in general. I think year-over-year statistics show that it's been increasing, which is great, but there is a level of support that CISOs and CIOs need within health systems from their leadership, so that they can really go out and do what they need to do in order to protect their data, their systems, their devices, and ultimately, you know, protect patients and improve patient care. We're extremely proud. You know, we're 10 months in, and we have far exceeded our expectations of even the first 4 years from our target perspective. So it's been a great start for us. You know, we in Cyber Salus, what's really unique about us is we all come from a healthcare background. That's our forte. That's what we know. We have people on the team that have walked the halls of hospitals, have worked on medical equipment with clinical pathways and clinical workflows. We have, you know, I myself have about 18 years experience in the healthcare industry. Our leadership team, you know, has a combined experience level of over 150 years in healthcare and cybersecurity. So the unique thing about us is that we really come from this world of healthcare and all the complexities that go into dealing with IoT devices that are in the periphery of the clinical ecosystem, medical equipment, etc. We have a great pedigree of folks within the organization. We are extremely fortunate in the sense that we are now partnered with a fantastic global company like GE Healthcare, where we are the exclusive providers of their cybersecurity commercial service to their customers. We have customers that are global, so we're not just in the US, we have customers in other parts of the world. We're really focused on growing in Europe, in Southeast Asia, as well as in the Middle East. We have a huge pipeline ahead of us, you know, in the US. So it's been a heck of a journey, and already it's 10 months in, but it's been action-packed. But we do a lot of different things that have caused us, apart from the fact that, you know, we come from this industry, we understand the nuances of it. We do the things that are necessary in order to solve, you know, the cybersecurity issues with hospitals. So for example, we'll come in, we'll do a clinical risk assessment to even understand what the baseline risk is for our clients. But we don't stop there. We don't just give a report and leave. That's kind of the starting point for us. That's when we customize the solution and the service for the health system. From there, we deploy the technology, and that's the great part about us. We are vendor neutral when it comes to technology. So if a customer has a great tech stack that they've invested in, we can integrate with that. If they don't, we can bring our own to the equation. But we deliver the technology if it's needed. We'll install it, implement it. We do the whole thing, the people, the process, the technology, all that is for us to take care of. The customer and the client doesn't have to worry about it. We also have something very unique in the industry, which is called a clinical security operations center. It's a SOC, which is 24/7, 365, watching the network of the hospital and the devices at all times, manned by people, guys and gals who are, again, former healthcare folks that moved into cybersecurity. So they have a very unique understanding about what are the strategies that you use for a pump versus, an ultrasound device versus a different type of medical device. What do you do for those? What do you do with the industrial IoT devices that are in the periphery that could impact that? So we do all of that. We do the surveillance, the monitoring. We also do the full vulnerability management. So we figure out what do we need to do. We have our own risk engine. We prioritize things. We do the asset reconciliation so that it's important for the customer to have their own asset inventory complete with the full cyber hygiene information. We manage all of that. And then above all of that, we also provide boots on the ground. So a lot of our customers might not have the resourcing to actually go out and solve once we do vulnerability management and we determine that a patch is available or a compensating control has to be implemented. We have boots on the ground, Cyber Salus employees who will go out and work at the hospital site every day of our clients, and they will solve for that. They're kind of like an on-site extension of our SOC. They'll do all the collaboration with all the different OEMs, work with the customer's IT team, network team, different departments, radiology, pathology, etc. And they'll make sure it all gets done. So it's kind of like a 360 degrees of wing-to-wing comprehensive solution and service for our clients. And that's why, our customers have so quickly, we've been growing. Our customers are happy. They're referring us to other customers. And that has really kind of propelled our journey. But at the end of the day, for our customer base, we can come in and manage their entire IoT, IOMT, the OT side of the house, if you will, from a cybersecurity perspective. And so they can focus on what they do best, which is provide patient care. Yeah, there's a lot of different things you can do, but first, the mindset has to be very proactive. You don't want to be in a situation where something unfortunately happens, there's a breach or something, or vulnerability or some scare like that, and then everybody's kind of reactively, running around trying to touch devices, calling the different OEMs, finding out which version it's on, is it impacted, is it not, or until it's too late and, there's some sort of a unfortunate incident. And because of that, in order to be proactive, you really need to have a strategy on how to have proactive surveillance. Monitoring is very key, but monitoring with the knowledge of what you need to do with those devices is very important. You also need to make sure that your asset inventory has all the cyber hygiene, right? You want to know which ones are patched, when they were patched, which ones are not, what kind of compensating controls, what's the software version, what's the SBOM. You need to be making sure you're doing all of that, because even from an external audit perspective, those things are going to be important. And then making sure that there's a collaboration between IT and HTM or biomed is very important as well. And facilities. If facilities is managing IoT devices, then it's extremely critical for them to be in the mix as well. So it has to be a team sport. It has to be proactive. And you got to kind of roll up the sleeves and get in there, because this is not something that can be done light touch, high level. You really need to make sure that you're managing this very carefully, device by device, and you want to take a risk-based approach, right? Not every device is equal. A device that's in the biomed closet versus the same devices in an ER is completely different. So taking a risk-based approach, being proactive, those are some things that are very necessary and things that you can do to really help your overall cyber hygiene. So in closing, I just want to say, it's an important subject. It's a very It's not one of those things that is sci-fi or science fiction or what you watch in the movies. It's happening every day. The same issues are being dealt by health systems in Australia as they are in Singapore, the UK, and Germany as they are in the US. So it's not a domestic issue, it's an international, global problem. We're just very glad that we're doing everything we can to help health systems, health delivery organizations, to really combat this threat. And we're going to continue to evolve in this space. We're now investing in AI to really help us with coming up with predictive models on devices that can be susceptible to threats. We're investing in AI for our SOC from a response time perspective and efficiency standpoint as well, and we'll continue to do so. And we're looking to make sure that we're partner with all the different departments and health systems. We're looking to partner and increase our partnership framework. We have GE Healthcare as a partner. We have other IoT providers as partners as well, because like I said, this is a sport where we all got to work together, and it's a team sport, and really help, because ultimately at the end of the day, patients' lives are at risk, and that's a very serious matter. So we take that seriously. That's our focus. That's what we're passionate about in helping to solve, and very happy to share today a little bit with all of you about Cyber Salus. So thank you for the opportunity.